Hey, Adam.
Hey,
Long time no talk. It's been a few days this time.
yeah. This time just a few days. We got
Just
a
a
new
few days.
setup.
Well, we got a new setup. We are trying something different. So we have Letters to the Sky. It's this podcast about these philosophical and religious visionaries and iconoclasts. And we've gone along with the letters theme. We're staying with that theme, and we're now creating something called Postcards. So these are our shorter format, maybe 20 minutes, little mini podcasts that are going to be up on YouTube and elsewhere. So check them out. And this is the start of an experiment. So we're going to see what happens. We're going to do very regular uploads, weekly uploads at least with these. And we're going to give it a shot and talk about, whatever's going on in our lives, our own inner worlds, what's present to us right in that moment, not really focused around a book, um, but just our lives. So
Yeah, agreed. So
let's
the
get it.
letters are the long form content. We dive into a particular book. We have a conversation with a guest, and we do deep dives. I like the idea of a postcard. When you travel somewhere, you you write a short little
Let's,
note, and it's all
you send a
about what's
postcard.
happening.
Yeah. And then get this. We go even shorter. We do like post-its or just notes. They stay in the theme. So we have different lengths of written word.
Yeah, I like that. That's very
We're
good.
we'll get there. We'll get there.
Well, tell me, if for this postcard, where are you right now in the world, and what are you feeling?
Yeah, I thought that it'd be really what was really present to me was talking about how to stay grounded when the world is going crazy. So we just had, if you listen to this, at the time of recording this anyway, we just had the U.S. presidential election, and it was a doozy. I think, yeah, it was a doozy, and so I think there are a lot of people right now that probably feel a little groundless. They feel like part of the world they knew and loved is maybe coming to an end. I know there are a lot of people worried about reproductive rights, about free speech, things like that. So, without talking about politics specifically, because that's not the point of this, and I don't want to, I did want to talk about how to stay grounded in the middle of all that, because I think that's important, and that's a lesson that I work with all the time, and it's something. It's not. It's kind of like agnostic about what's going on in my life. I'm always thinking about that. So that's what I wanted to talk about today.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, and I've had several conversations. Very clear that this is probably one of the most divisive elections. But more than that, there's so much um, sense of identity that people have with what's happening and the issues. And so when certain things are threatened or attacked or perceived to be attacked or threatened, they take it personally. And ultimately, how we all collectively have been responding to the election is in in many ways a mirror of how we respond to the challenges of life. When shit hits the fan in life, we have to stop and ask ourselves, okay, what is happening inside? A lot of people, the focus is still out there, right? Something crazy happens, but the attention is still out there. And it's really easy to feel, to get sucked into the feeling that something out there needs to change before I can be at peace. And the trick is always peace comes from within. Peace comes from a decision within first. It has nothing really, in my opinion, to do with the things of this world. So this election, like many other things in life, is an invitation to go inside and to ask yourself, okay, well, what's going on inside first, and realize it's all about the inside world. It's all about the mind, the heart, what's happening within.
Yeah, we just recorded an episode with Diego Ugalde, a former Navy SEAL who now does leadership and psychedelic coaching. And one of the things we talked about was a chapter in his book, Leading from the Deep, which is called "Fear is the School Bell," and really that when we feel fear, it's time to look within because it's time to work. And it's not about it's not about having or exerting control over the outer world. Um, I think one of the fundamental truths is that we control absolutely nothing about the outer world. I could be having the best day ever. I could have the most money. I could have everything external I ever wanted, and I could walk outside and get hit by a bus.
Yeah.
Nothing to do what I want or don't want.
Yeah.
And that fundamental truth is s- just so present with for me, that you know, the kind of the notion that fears the school bell, like what is when I feel that kind of mass consciousness from, in this case, the election, I feel that mass consciousness weighing me down, and I start to feel angry and afraid, or whatever. I mean, there's when I have those feelings, it's important to come back to, for me, like my center, and my center, when I am really tapped into it, my center is wishing and hoping for love to express itself, and understanding that I can still choose love and I can still choose lightness. And I don't. I've always been kind of ambivalent about the word, like the term high vibration, because it's very like fluid, but like high vibration, like I'm not into the muck. I'm not into the muck of vengeance and rage and anger and um being hurt and things like that. And it's not about what's going on outside me. It's just about how do I choose to approach my own life moment to moment, because when I'm feeling like angry and hurt, and something happens in my life that has nothing to do with what I'm feeling angry or hurt about, suddenly that thing becomes another trigger for that emotion. And it's just I really have to remove the outside world completely from it, because it could be anything. It could be anything could trigger me. And how do I still show up with whatever comes next from a loving place
Mhm.
of openness, of really of openness. It's not even loving. It's open lovingness.
Yeah. Yeah. So, a couple of things I wanna say there. Well, tell me a little bit more about what you mean by mass consciousness. I think it's an interesting term, a great term, and I think maybe people haven't heard of it before or maybe relate to it
Yeah,
differently than you
yeah,
do.
absolutely. So when I talk about mass consciousness, I talk about, in this case with the election, both sides just going at each other's throats. And whether you're on in this election the losing side and saying like the world's coming to an end, how could you ever, you know, have a friendship with someone who voted for the other guy, or if you're on the winning side and you're thinking like, hell yeah, we sure stuck it to them, and like I hope, like there's people on both sides that are just like at each other's throats, and it's a consciousness. Like it's easy to tap into that and to get mad about stuff on either side, and to get mad about the way things are. And that's what I mean by mass consciousness. And I suppose the context of it is you can step out of that, which maybe if you're not stepping out of that, it's hard to see that. And sometimes it is for me too, but that's what I mean.
In my experience, uh, you know how sometimes I don't know if you've had this experience, but when you go into a really dense, busy city, like you fly into LaGuardia or JFK in New York, right? And you enter into the density of the city jungle. It's not just the fact that the buildings are so close to each other and they go so high and there's noise everywhere. There's sort of a general feeling of
Smell of hot subway
frenetic.
pits.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that too. Yeah, but I mean, it's like you feel the frenetic energy. Now, some people love that, right? Like they
Yeah.
get off on it, they get inspired by it, and others find it oppressive. You could say that that's like the mass consciousness of New York. Now, you leave that and you go into the Adirondacks, right? Just outside of New York, a couple hours, and it's just quiet. And you have the peace of the rustling, the wind through the rustling leaves, and you see a bird overhead, and everything is just still. Now, I would say that's like, if you want, that's like coming out of the mass conscious. There's not just there's just fundamentally not a lot of human beings there, and so you have this, like, spaciousness. So, I've found often that for me, leaving a location will help me come out of that. Of course,
Mhm.
I've also noticed that I can do that in the middle of the night. I know some people talk about, meditating at 3 AM or 4 AM, like, it's easier to do because everyone's asleep, you know? And I think there's something to that. It's like, Rupert Sheldrake, he talks about this, morphogenic fields, the resonance fields, right? Like, we're all
Buddy, oh my god,
connected.
you're going deep. Morphic field, my god. Oh my god, how
Hey,
does your
man.
finger know what shape to your finger should be when your cells grow? That's what we're talking about. Anyway, yeah, okay.
See, you know what I'm talking
Morphic
about?
fields.
Anyway,
I
that's
do, I
that's mass
do.
consciousness for
You're
me.
still a nerd. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, in terms, so I think this is an experiment, and this is a shorter form thing than we normally do. So I want to spend the rest of the time maybe talking about what you do to get yourself into your like presence with yourself, and then what we can do for other people who are experiencing mass conscious I'm like experiencing mass consciousness like it's a crisis, but people who are really having a hard time um, with what's going on around them. Do you have any
Yeah,
thoughts on either of those?
yeah, let's do this. It takes just a few seconds. If you're listening, just follow along with me. We're gonna take 3 breaths together, 3 breaths, and we're gonna breathe in such a way that we're gonna activate the parasympathetic nervous system. This is just resetting the nervous system. So take a nice comfortable inhale, and now exhale fully all the way. Okay, we're gonna inhale to the count of 4. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, hold for 7 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now exhale to the count of 8. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, let's do it again. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Last one. Inhale. 4. Hold. 6, 7. Exhale. 2, now breathe normal. That's what I do. I think one of the it's called the 4-7-8 technique. You can do it anytime. If you feel like you're getting triggered, if you feel like you're starting to feel panic coming on or anxiety, depression even, the first thing I do is I tell my nervous system it's okay. Everything's okay and I'm safe. Sometimes I even tell myself that. The mind needs to remind itself of the truth. I'm safe. I'm safe. You may think you're not, but really in this exact moment, you're sitting somewhere, you're standing somewhere, and you are safe. You just inhale and you exhale, and you make that exhale longer than the inhale. That's key. And that gets you out of the fight or flight and it gets you into a relaxed state. Once the physiology is more relaxed, it's way more easy. It's easier for the mind to then think thoughts that are aligned with that relaxed state. That's what I do. What about you, Steven?
Well, at first, I love that. There's so many different ways to use the breath. It's wonderful. Yeah, when I do it, I really, I think I do some form of mental exercise, like I explained in the first part of this little talk, where I really I think about how little control I have. For whatever reason, when I think about like, hey man, I could get hit by a bus tomorrow, like that. For whatever reason, when I think about that lack of control that I really have, I find it way easier to just let go of whatever I'm holding on to and just be. with what's going on, like, inside me, and I come back to love, and um there's probably a lot of reasons for that, and I think we've probably talked about some over the years on the podcast, and just my personal commitment with my brother dying to, making sure that love is the thing that I express. I think that that's like it's just become kind of my natural like go-to. But those kind of mental exercises really help me get out of it. I find myself I don't come to the breath probably as often as I really like that technique, but I don't remember to go to the breath as often. I usually do mental techniques that get me to maybe somewhat the same place.
Yeah, there's many ways to get there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
What
and I think
about when
well,
no,
really
you
quickly,
no, no.
memento mori. I think
Uh-huh.
it goes without saying, just contemplating one's own death really, puts everything in perspective. It puts the election, it puts any momentary trials in life in perspective. Life is so short, and you're right, we can get hit by a bus tomorrow, and will it have been worth it, basically? And it really helps you get grounded, so that's a
Yeah,
really
I
powerful
think
technique.
it helps remind me that no matter what somebody is doing or has done, that they're suffering too, and they want peace just like I do. I think that's what it really brings me back to, and then I feel, compassion for them, and it really just takes the charge off of it.
Mhm.
Okay, 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 enough. What
Sure.
about enough of that. What about people in your life, who are going through an intense moment? What are some of the things that you do? Not in terms of like how do you calm somebody down, but just how do you be present with them? What do you think is conducive to aiding someone find their own peace?
Yeah. I'm not the best example. Recently, I've
Don't tell them that.
don't don't tell the viewers. Um, so I'm still learning. I'm still learning to be um, a beacon of peace myself. But that's the key. I think uh, you can't offer someone lip service. You have to demonstrate what it is you're offering. You you teach by demonstration. So if you are trying to help someone get to a place of peace, you have to be there yourself too. And so and I think the greatest way to help someone is always to go back to working with yourself. If you heal whatever the trigger is, at the source of the trigger, the fear, and get to a place of inner peace, then you can be so much more present for someone else and not say a word. Not say a word. Because in my experience, all minds are connected. So just the mere fact of you going to that place of peace and sitting with someone, not saying a word, will have a profound effect. But the alternative, if you haven't done that healing and you're all sorts of anxious, and then you go to that person and you tell them, "Don't worry, everything's going to be okay. Just focus on happy thoughts. Be positive. Don't be anxious." Nothing, you could say all the words you'd like to, and they could be super convincing. But if you're not in that place yourself, you're probably going to make them more anxious, and they won't know why. So, for me, it comes back to just be what you're trying to offer to others.
Yeah, yeah. Nice, thanks.
That's our postcard. That's our
That's our
postcard,
postcard.
everyone.
All right, everyone. Well, good to see everybody. Good to be in touch. Good to be talking to everybody more. Good to talk to you more, Adam. I know part of the
Yeah.
problem with this, part of our issue is we don't get to talk to each other as much as we would like. So we're off
This
to a
is
great start.
secretly all just a chance for Steve and I to keep our
That's true.
conversations going.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. There's my
All right,
dog in the
buddy.
background. All right, guys. Well, I'll talk to you later, Adam.
All right, see you, Steven. Bye.
Bye.